Hello, and welcome to FDM Academy's channel. Today, I wanted to share with you how I got started in the fascial distortion model, how it affected me as a person and then as a practitioner. So stick around and hear the story of how 14 years ago a treatment changed my life. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so you're kept updated on the most current releases. So 14 years ago, I was on the road down to Girdwood, Alaska for a conference that followed Dr. Tipaldos's Fascial Distortion Model lectures. He was in town giving lectures. This was the third time he had been in Alaska. He was giving lectures to the Alaskan Osteopathic Medical Association, and I was unable to attend those lectures. I came to the conference right after his seminar closed. In fact, saw him leaving the seminar hall. During the regular Alaskan Osteopathic Association, or ACOMA, meetings, the people who had attended Dr. Tipaldos's lectures could actually see me sitting in the back of the room, and I was just rubbing my elbows and in a lot of pain. I was fairly miserable. This had been going on for 2 years. The story of how it began is I ran sled dogs for long distance dog racing, and as part of that we have to get out and pack the dog trails, and one particularly snowy day I was out clearing 65 miles of dog trail with the snow machine, towing a tractor tire. And we kept getting pulled off the trail and stuck in the snow, and I just kept pushing the snow machine handlebars out to get it unstuck. Finally, in fact, had to bail on the tractor tire, leaving it behind to pick it up another day. Finished my run in, and actually there was not much problems other than I was exhausted. It had taken many hours to make this loop. Beautiful thing is, after a snow like that, the trail sets up, the temperatures are excellent, and you end up with a nice hard trail for the dogs to train on for weeks afterwards. 2 days later, the pain started, and I had what every family physician would know is tennis elbow. And I didn't think much of it at the time, and I iced it, and I rested, and I took anti-inflammatory. And 2 years later, I found myself still struggling with that same pain. In fact, probably worse. In that interim of 2 years, I had tried to visit several physical therapists. I had done a myriad of exercises. I had injections, multiple different anti-inflammatories. I even had visited several orthopedic surgeons to see what their opinion was, sports doctors, and the pain persisted. So I was working at urgent care at the time, and I took my time to go down to Girdwood, as I said, to attend this conference. And the colleagues of mine saw me in the back of the room, and they said, "We know what's wrong with you." And I thought to myself at the time, everyone knows what's wrong with me. You don't have to be a physician to know that I've got tennis elbow. What the problem is nobody knows how to fix it. And I said to them, I said, "Yeah, I've got tennis elbow." And they said, No. You have a continuum distortion and a trigger band and a herniated trigger point and a cylinder." Now, I prided myself on my knowledge of osteopathic medicine at that time. It was a big part of what I enjoyed doing. While it was only a small part of my practice, I enjoyed osteopathic manipulation, so I was fairly well versed in the different modalities. But what the language they were speaking, completely foreign. So I said, "Well, okay, so what do you want to do?" And they said, "We want to treat you. Can we treat you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, go ahead." 4 people grabbed me without any warning, and they immediately laid into my arms with incredible intensity, and I swear tears shot out of my eyes, and my arms began to throb, and they were rooting each other on and very engaged and very excited, and then they'd stop and go, "How is it?" And I would pause and go, I can't tell. I don't know. What are you doing?" And they just kept chasing whatever gesture or body language I showed them, and really worked my arms. And they said, "Okay, here's the plan. No heat. ice it tonight, and drink a lot of water. So after the break that we were in between lectures, I went back to my spot, kind of almost hit by a truck feeling, didn't know really what happened. Not optimistic, not pessimistic, just unsure of what was going on. And so I went up to the hotel room that night, and I was actually probably one of the most obedient patients of that time. You know, physicians make terrible patients, but I actually iced it, and I drank a bunch of water, and the next morning I woke up with no pain. And I was completely dumbfounded. I couldn't figure out what had happened. So I went back down early the next morning at breakfast and found those 4 guys and said, "Hey, what did you do?" And that's when they shared with me more of the information of the model that Dr. Capistrant had shared with them. And they started to explain it. And now, since I wasn't being treated, I could actually hear what they were saying. After that treatment, I drove home, about a 6-hour drive back towards Fairbanks, and I found my elbows weren't hurting. And then I began to realize how depressed I had been because of that 2 years of pain. And I went back to the urgent care that I was working at, and that first few days back I saw a couple of patients that presented with what these guys were talking about. And they showed me the body languages and the gestures, and I said, maybe the patients will let me try something. So I talked to them, told them it could be uncomfortable, tried to give them more warning than I received. And the patients were thrilled. One lady, she came in, she was limping. She had been limping for 3 years. And she said, "I had this cut in my shin, and this tissue was sticking out. I should have gotten it sewed, but I didn't." And I was like, "Okay." And she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, let's take an x-ray, make sure there's nothing in there or nothing wrong." And we did that. Everything was fine. So thinking in the model, I followed her gestures, and I said, I would like to treat this in a way that can be fairly aggressive. It might be painful for a second, but I think it'll help. And she said, "Yeah, go ahead." So I treated her leg, and she jumps up off the chair, runs around the table 3 times with no limp, gives me a great big hug, and leaves. And I was left standing there going, what just happened? That happened several more times, and then I was committed. I said, I've got to go to the next course. So the next course was scheduled in Hawaii. It was going to be a World Congress, and unfortunately, between the conference in Alaska and the Congress in Hawaii, Dr. Capistrant passed away. So with that, I got my introduction to the FDM through a treatment, and then the lectures that were offered in Hawaii. That's how I got started in the model, a personal success of a treatment of me. I know many practitioners have also had a powerful treatment that changes their life. It's those treatments that allow us to change our patients' lives. When you see the success, you have to question some of our paradigms. And if you follow the videos, I'll talk about a shifting paradigm and just what the fascial distortion is. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, stay in the model.